Okay, I know this video probably isn't going to get the most attention or it's just going to fall upon deaf ears, but there has just been a lot of misinformation going around as of late, and this whole situation revolving around Dandy's World has definitely torn the community in half. For this being the first actual full video on the channel, originally I wasn't going to make any sort of videos revolving around drama like this. I mean, heck, I originally was going to post an art fight video to be the first full video on the channel, but I figured that because I have a platform, even though it's pretty small, I might as well take a shot in the dark here. I promise not all of my future videos will revolve around drama like this, but with all the things I've seen people say to one another, it's about time someone spoke about this. Real quick before we get started, first of all, hi, I'm Rocco, and I plan on making content in the future revolving around music, art, games, and maybe an occasional rant or two, kind of like this video. If that interests you, feel free to subscribe and stick around for some content coming later down the line. Second of all, this is more important, I will be doing a quick recap talking about what happened recently within the community revolving around Quelver and other staff involved. So basically, this is just going to be a brief content warning, and the topics that will be touched on are on screen as shown. I won't really go in that much into detail about anything. I'll try to keep it brief, but viewer discretion is advised for those of you who do need it. I will have timestamps down below if you want to hop, skip, and jump around the video a little bit. And last but not least, please do not harass anyone over this whole ordeal, whether it be in the comment section, on anywhere else on YouTube, or the internet in general, for whatever reason it might be. There's been a lot of doxing going on as of late as well, so keep in mind, if you do dox anyone and share anyone's personal info out there, then you're no better than the people who are involved in this whole ordeal that we're talking about today. But with that being said, let's get into it. So this first section of the video is just going to be me briefly going over what has been happening over the past week, just in case you haven't been online as of late. But if you don't need the recap or refresher on this whole ordeal, feel free to skip ahead. I'm going to be using the word allegedly in this video a lot, mostly because nowadays you never really know when something can end up turning into a legal matter. I wouldn't be surprised if this did happen. I don't know if it will. Maybe it could. Maybe it won't. We don't know. Considering there are literal NDAs and consent forms involved here, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, anything could happen. This isn't my first rodeo. I've seen a lot of stuff happen like this on the internet already. So a little over a week ago, on June 15th, a user who goes by the online alias Duck Adam made a video revolving around the creator of Dandy's World, aka owner of Blush Crunch Studio, Quelver. Duck Adam has a history of not being the best person out there, and his video definitely wasn't the best approach to this whole thing, but he did come out with a lot of information against Quelver, with evidence of her allegedly knowing about one of her co-workers' malicious activities for a long time before she finally decided to actually fire him. You see, back in 2024, when Dandy's World was still in its early stages, Quelver had a close friend who is known as Rox Serpent, and this is someone who she worked alongside with and became very close friends with. Rox was known as the main coder for the game and was considered to be a large part of the game's backbone. However, Rox was eventually exposed for not only making art for himself, interacting with fictional minors in explicit adult scenarios, but he was also exposed for doing the same with real minors online and chatting with them inappropriately. Once all this information came to light, Quelver eventually decided to publicly announce that he was fired and kicked off of the team. And that's where that whole situation ended back then, and you would think that's where this whole situation would, never rise up again. Fast forward 2 years later, Duck Adam specifically talks about how Quelver allegedly knew about Rox's actions involving minors, both fictional and real, for literal months before publicly announcing his departure. Even after making the announcement, she allegedly kept him on the team for an additional 2 months despite what he had done. As for why she kept him around, many people are trying to argue that Rox was manipulating her or was holding onto files that he could use as blackmail. Others are arguing that she was just hesitant to kick him out because he was such a close friend of hers, or that she was waiting until the entire staff knew what kind of person he was before kicking him out. Keep in mind, there are in fact alleged victims involved in here too, and there are victims in this case that allegedly debunked this information, and that we'll get into that soon. Eventually, Rox himself allegedly came out with info about Quelver, and by that I mean he just doxed her. Either way, apparently this sparked an outrage in the official Blush Crunch Discord server, which is home to at least a million different kinds of Dandy's World players and fans, along with people who play Quelver's other game, Flavor Frenzy. Anyways, the outrage became so bad that people began to start sharing and spreading the personal information about Quell that was doxed within the server, and people were heavily debating about what was going on with this whole situation that was happening. And it got so bad that the mods changed the 30-second to 1-minute cooldown in order to chat in channels to 15 minutes. However, on June 18th, one of the mods made an official statement about how things got so bad, they're temporarily locking the server down. And at the time of this recording, it is in fact still locked down. It's been a week now. On top of it all, an ex-voluntary employee of Blush Crunch, who goes by Joji, posted an entire Google Doc on Twitter with a lot of allegations against Quelver. This document includes alleged screenshots of chats, including Quell's approach to the Rock situation originally, transcripts of things she allegedly said in Discord calls related to Dandy's World business, and basically talks about how Quelver was just as manipulative as Rocks towards their staff. Now, there's a lot more I could talk about here, including how Quell allegedly also had interacted with a minor, which was, from what, if I recall correctly, allegedly recording them without consent and manipulating them in a sense. But like I said before, I do want to try and keep it brief, and there's definitely other content creators out there who have covered the situation much better than I did, and you can actually go out and go hunt for the original Google Doc for yourself if you have the time and want to go look at that. But it's been about close to 2 weeks now that this whole thing got started, and Quelver has stayed completely silent about this whole situation, which is why many people are upset at her, and rightfully so. But let's move on to actually why I'm making this video. So something to keep in mind is that whenever it comes to the Dandy fanbase and community, a large majority of them are on the younger side, mostly consisting of young teens, some young adults, and lots of children. Of course, the fact that the community consists of so many younger people made the whole situation about Quell allegedly keeping Rocks around for so long a lot worse. I mean, he's literally done things with 2 real minors already that we know of. So imagine having him around a community consisting mostly of children and what he would have done there if he were to stay here even longer. A lot of people are now quitting the game willingly or taking a break, which of course is their choice and nothing is wrong with that. However, recently I've seen a lot of people come after several content creators who do things related to Dandy's World and are now coming after them in the comment section. I mean, recently I just remember seeing a whole paragraph under one person's video about them playing Dandy's World and doing a little challenge, and it's supposed to be a fun little thing. And then this person in the comments is like, I see you're playing Dandy's World from what I could see in this video. Well, you need to stop doing that because Quell is actually a really bad person, and this means you're still supporting her. Not only that, but there's also people who want to keep playing the game because it's something that they genuinely enjoy. They're really hesitant in asking if it's really still okay to do so. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are coming out and attacking these people for wanting to continue playing Dandy's World because of the new association Quell has with the game. And then we have the people who are wondering what's going to happen to Dandy's World, and some people are saying and worrying that they think that Dandy's World is going to shut down or get discontinued. And this is happening as well because recently another game on Roblox with a big platform that is inspired by Dandy's World called Dolly's Factory is no longer going to be receiving any more updates due to the lack of funding. And of course, there's a lot of people who want to continue to stir the pot more and are saying things like, oh, Dandy's World is going to shut down on this day because blah blah blah. And so I'm making this video in response to all of these things I've been seeing in hopes that it can help bring some comfort to those of you who might need it or people who need some proper reasoning spoken into them. It's okay if you don't want to keep playing Dandy's World right now, or if you want to take a break from it because of everything that has happened as of late, or if you have your own reasons. It's okay to be a content creator who makes Dandy's World art, videos, music, and much more. A lot of the time, people fail to realize that sometimes Dandy's World videos and content are what pays for the bills. It's what pays to put food on the table, housing, medicine, or school. It's the only option some people have to help build their platform or to even get extra money to help support them throughout the months. For others, it's simply just for fun because it helps distract them from whatever problems they're facing off camera. This is a game that has played a big part in many people's lives. I, for example, would have never met some of my friends or grew closer to the ones I already knew if it wasn't for Dandy's World. It's impossible to get such a large community to just stop playing the game all at once together. Some people are going to keep playing it regardless of the current drama because maybe they're simply not online at all, not active on Twitter, or they're just not interacting with the fandom at all. And they're just blissfully unaware and they're not harming anyone, unlike other people who are playing the game to be malicious and protest against the alleged victims. And sometimes it's as simple as the phrase you might have heard before, support the art, not the artist. Now, I know people are saying that developers of their games earn money from the amount of people playing it. Although this is true, you gotta keep in mind that especially after some of the more recent updates to their policies, Roblox is pocketing more of those earnings for themselves, which that in itself is messed up, and that we could talk about all that another time. I mean, heck, some of those new policies and changes are the reason why Dolly's Factory is getting discontinued from the lack of funding, because Roblox is holding up a new system where you have to pay more in order to keep your game alive on the platform. So from player numbers alone, Pulver isn't really necessarily getting as much money as you would think she's getting, because most of that is going into Roblox pockets anyways. But if anything, if you do keep playing the game, one of the only ways you would still actually be quote-unquote supporting Quill is if you're buying the Game Pass skins, sticker wheels, or Ichor. Game developers earn more money from Game Passes and people spending Robux on their games compared to people and counting player numbers and who's playing and all that. And the same can be said if you're out here buying something from the official Blush Crunch store, like plushies and such. Now, in terms of people talking about the game shutting down, there has not been any sort of statement regarding this at all. Not to mention, Dandy's World is a project that is much bigger than Quill herself, and she should know that. To suddenly shut it down out of nowhere would be a terrible business decision, especially financially. But anyways, she should know that shutting down her game without saying anything would only dig a deeper hole for herself. Plus, shutting the game down hypothetically would also mean having to worry about recalling so much merchandise because people suddenly just aren't invested or interested in Dandy's World merchandise anymore. And I am just kind of saying this as more of a, what if hypothetical kind of thing, but I hope you get the point. And of course, a lot of people are wondering now if things are ever going to get better in Dandy's World. And in my opinion, with everything I've seen and with how long I've seen internet stuff like this unfold over the years, I do think that the game will eventually fall into the hands of someone who's better and more experienced at some point. I mean, think about it this way. Pulver has shown that she's inexperienced, unprofessional, and underqualified to run a whole studio/team under her name. She let her emotions towards one of her friends dictate her decision about how long she'd keep Rox on the team, when she should have gotten rid of him as fast as possible after taking care of business work using a more logical and ethical approach. If she actually was logical, then she would have realized that keeping Rox around for so long would affect her social status at some point, but because she didn't approach things that way, here we are. And you would think with all the money she's earned and what she is still getting from the game, she would at least invest in a proper PR team that she properly pays, instead of having to rely on a single volunteer being your team manager, who is someone that you're manipulating nonetheless, one that you didn't even put through a proper hiring process, which that in itself is another very unprofessional thing to do in a business setting. But unless you're trained, taking classes, are qualified, and are aware of how to actually run a business, especially one that's grown this much, and if you know how to show proper leadership, you wouldn't be prepared to handle all of this on your own. Nonetheless, if you're only in your early 20s, like 22, 21, Pulver should have known that. I really do think that if the situation arises, perhaps a different and better team with more experience could end up buying Dandy's World off of her at some point. I mean, besides, even though Pulver has shown how avoidant she is whenever it comes to taking accountability as of right now, and if she takes no action, then someone else will. Her silence alone is making her lose all of her money. Her inability to come out with a statement is only a sign to companies that are better, more experienced brands and game studios out there that as long as she is the name representing Blush Crunch, investing in collaborations with her and with Blush Crunch would be a terrible financial decision for them. As long as her name is the one behind Blush Crunch, they would lose money from making Dandy's World products that no one wants to buy because of Pulver's inaction. So really, the best option she has right now is to make a statement and either A, step down from Blush Crunch and hand it over to someone who's more deserving and more experienced, or B, learn how to actually be a proper owner of a game studio. But at the end of the day, play or don't play the game, she's losing money in brand deals and collaborations from outside of Roblox, in the real world where it matters most. If you need to keep playing the game to help with your content, or if you simply want to enjoy playing the game, then do it. A lot of people's emotions regarding Dandy's World are at an all-time high if people feel heavily betrayed. But Especially for the younger players out there, please use this as a lesson. Know that it's okay to respect a developer of a game, but remember, everything you see on the internet in the world of content creation, 90% of the time, it's all a show and it's fabricated, and Quellver is a big example of that. But with all that being said, I hope I was able to make some sort of point to those of you who needed to hear it. I understand that there are going to be people who probably disagree with me in the comments or somewhere else out there about some of the things I have said. I really don't mind. At the end of the day, it's your opinion and you're in control of the decisions you make here on out. I'm just kind of here to yap. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I promise not all of my future videos are going to look like this. But with that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.